Hi, I'm Natalie Rogers from Tat Your Own Adventure. And we are continuing the beginner series. In the last video, we walked through how to make a chain and how to make picots. You don't want to move on to this video until you feel really comfortable with the flip when you were making your chains, because in the ring, we're going to flip all of our stitches. And if we accidentally don't flip one, we won't be able to close our ring. So keep that in mind. Make sure you got lots of practice, feel very comfortable with the chain before you move on to the ring. When we make the ring, we're only going to use one of our shuttles. The other is just going to hang out. Okay, to make the ring, we're going to hold it in our pinch. Again, I have the crocheter's hold for my hand. You can also use the traditional, which would pinch between the pointer and the thumb. And I'll show that really quick, and then I'll move to the other because that's the one I'm more comfortable with. Okay, pointer thumb wraps around your other fingers, comes back to the pinch. See how it makes this circular shape? This is crucial to making a ring because we're going to pull on this at the end to close it. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the other hold. You are welcome to use the traditional if that's more comfortable for you. Okay, I'm going to hold between my middle finger and my thumb, wrap around my pointer finger and pinky, and come back to my pinch. So still, we're both of them have that same circular shape. And we're going to make our basic stitch. So I'm going to wave it myself. I'm going to go under the thread, back over the thread, through that little loop I made by waving it myself. Tighten the shuttle thread, loosen the thread on my hand so that it flips over. Do you see how now it's the thread that's around my hand that's looped? Slide that down right up next to my last part. If you don't get it quite snug, that's okay for practicing, but this is something that you'll want to eventually get to the point where you can snug it up right next to your previous element, because unless a pattern calls for bare thread space, you definitely want it snugged up to the last element. Okay, second half, I go over under through that loop. Again, pull the shuttle, loosen the finger to flip it over, make sure it's coming from my finger and around, and it is, and then I can slide it down. Okay. So that's the first stitch. If you lightly hold that stitch and tug on your shuttle, you can see that I can loosen this ring, or tighten this ring. I can also loosen this ring by pulling on it. So I can adjust the size of the ring on my hand. To make it smaller, I tug on my shuttle. To loosen it, I can use my fingers to make it bigger. And it'll pull from the shuttle, so it'll pull the shuttle closer to itself when you make it wider. Okay, so I did my first stitch. Second stitch, wave it myself, go under, come back over through that loop I made with my fingers. Tighten the shuttle, loosen the finger. Now it's the finger one coming around, which is great. Slide that down. And then over, under, through that loop again. Okay, slide that down. I'm gonna zoom back in. Okay, so we're gonna go wave it myself, under, over, through that loop that was caused by the thread going across my hand when I waved it myself, taking the shuttle thread and tensioning it so that it's now the finger thread that's coming over from my hold and going down, and slide that down to the next one. And then over, under. Okay, transfer by tightening the shuttle, loosening the finger, and then slide it down. Okay, so I've done 3 stitches so far. Let's do 2 more and then a picot. So I'm going to wave it myself, go under, over, take that shuttle thread, pull it tight, loosen my other thread so it then wraps around. Once it's wrapped around, that's great. I can slide it down. Over, under, through that loop. Transfer by tightening the shuttle, loosening the finger. Once the finger thread is the one that's looped around, I can slide it down. Wave it myself. Under, over, through that loop that's around my hand because I waved it myself. Tighten the shuttle thread, loosen the thread on my finger, and slide it down, and then over, under, through that natural loop. Transfer the loop by tightening the shuttle and loosening the finger, slide it down. Every couple of stitches, and when you're first learning, maybe every stitch, you do want to tug on it and make sure your ring can still shrink and grow, because that means that all of your stitches flip properly. If it can't shrink or grow, then you're going to have to take out a stitch. So let me show you one where I accidentally forget to flip part of my stitch. So I didn't flip the first half. I just slid it down. Okay, this ring won't move, and tugging on it more is just going to tighten my unflipped stitch, so I don't want to tug it too hard. If your ring doesn't move easily, you're going to then take and you're going to need to retro tat. Retro tat just means undo your knot. It's not the funnest process, but it is a step that you need to learn because it happens. We all make mistakes, and I would prefer to untat something if possible over cutting it and redoing it. So that's my preference. So I just take the tip of my pick or some other slightly sharp thing and pull it until it loosens up. And then I follow that thread. So this thread wraps over this one and under this one. So that's where I'm going to send the shuttle to undo it. That undid the first part. Here's the second part. Just get it in there until it loosens. And then once it loosens, I can look and see what happens. It goes under this one, over that one, so then I can slide that around. There we go. So I just undid that stitch that I forgot to flip part of. Okay, so retro tatting is a skill that you'll want to learn. I'll cover that more in another video of how to undo different things. But I do highly recommend that you practice retro tatting as you learn, because it is a great skill to have. Okay, so again, I'm gonna wave it myself, go under and over, and then flip. And since I'm making a picot, I'm not sliding it all the way down, so I'm gonna stop it wherever size I want my picot to be. Let's say about there. I'm gonna stop it and pinch that in my hold again. Do the second half over, under, through that loop. Tighten the shuttle, loosen the finger until it's the finger that's wrapped, and then slide that down. And then I can slide my picot closed. So it was out here, just slide it down. So it's up next to the stitch is up next to the last stitch, and that gives you your picot. Okay, that was a bigger picot, and that's fine. And then I've done one stitch. Let's do 4 more, and then we'll close this ring. So I'm gonna wave it myself, go under, back over, through that loop that I made with my hand by waving, tighten my shuttle, loosen my finger, slide it down. That's the first half. Second half, over, under, through that natural loop that hangs down. If for some reason you come over, under, and you end up outside of that loop, do you see how I didn't go through it at all? You can take your shuttle and come back up through the loop, and then you've got the loop that you need. Otherwise, you're not going to end up with a stitch. So slide that down after it's flipped. 1, 2, there we go. Here's the third one. Wave it myself, go under, come back over through that loop, tighten my shuttle, loosen my fingers, slide it down. That's the first half. Over, under, through that natural loop that's hanging down. Tighten my shuttle, loosen my fingers, slide it down. That's the third one. 1, 2, 3. You can tell that you've completed a stitch if you get a pair of pants. That's how it's referred to often. You've got your belt loop that goes across the top, or the band that's across the top, and then you've got 2 that hang down formed from the first and second half of the stitch. Okay, I'm gonna go under, over, tighten my shuttle, loosen my finger, come down, over, under, tighten my shuttle, loosen my finger, come down, under, over, flip, come down, over, under, flip, come down. Okay, again, remember to check every couple of stitches to see if your ring slides, which it still does, which is great because we want to close it. So at this point, you want to take all of those stitches, or as many as you can hold, put them into your finger pinch lightly. So I'm just lightly holding them there. This is going to help it so it doesn't twist as it folds in, or as it comes in. And then you're going to take your shuttle thread and slowly pull it closed. If it twists up at all while you're trying to close it, or gets kind of stuck, you just kind of tug on it here. and then you can slide it closed. And you want to slide it all the way closed. So there we go. All the way closed, and that is how you form a ring. It's the same exact steps as we did with the chain, except now we're working with just one shuttle. The difference is how we put it on our hand. Again, when we put it on our hand, we're going to pinch it in our hold, wrap around our fingers, and come back to our pinch to make that circle shape or that triangle that we're then going to work with to work our stitches. So go ahead and try and make a couple rings from that. And in our next video, we're going to look at joining. So thanks for joining me. I hope to see you in the next video.